this is where the show goes downhill. Now, if you are new to this series and you haven't seen my review on the previous episodes, just a quick TLDR. I had a good idea of what this series was going to be like before I came into it, and this is not what I thought it was going to be at all, so I'm a bit let down by that. The storytelling is good, the character work is very good, some pacing bits are a bit off, but it's Pete McTighe and it is a 5-part serialised story, so it's different to what I'm used to. But overall, I think it's pretty good. This episode, I wasn't a fan of. I haven't got around to rewatching it yet. I am filming this the morning after it aired, and I sat with my thoughts last night, and last time I rewatched it before I made my review, but this time I'm not going to do that, just because I want to get it filmed and edited in time to go out, but boring stuff. I will rewatch it, and if my opinions change, I might do another video talking about it, but I think I'm very, not stubborn, but I think my point of this is going to be quite stubborn, and it's not going to change because this is just how I feel. So I'm going to just go through the episode chronologically and the bits I liked and the bits that I didn't like. So Salt's saving Barkley from the big explosion under the water. I almost said Sarkley then. That's their ship name. Sarkley or Bolt. They were obviously in the aqua lair when Ted's bomb went off at the end of the last episode. And Ted's bomb went off, and it just seems very cliche to be like, well, how can the fish lady save the human? Let's make them kiss. That's it. They can kiss, because then the romance builds. Like I said last time, it would have been much more effective to me if they'd have found a way to integrate the plot with their romance rather than just, sexy fish lady, give me those lips. You know what I mean? That to me isn't satisfying enough. So just to have them kiss as a way for them to survive. I get why they did it as the writers as sort of an easy cop-out, but from a storytelling perspective, they could have done something better, something more clever, maybe, like showing off the Sea Devil powers. Apparently, the Sea Devils are magic. They can make it rain pollution somehow. Who knows? I think it was a cheap shot. But it wasn't terrible. Obviously, we then cut back to Kate's flat, and Colonel Ibrahim is dead. He's dead and buried on the floor, bleeding out from his chest. And I do like, again, very Tortured Children of Earth, right, Yanto, but not just that, it's very Tortured Children of Earth, spoilers for Tortured Children of Earth if you haven't seen it. In episode 2, well, the cliffhanger for episode 1 is a terrorist attack in Cardiff Bay, where there's a big bomb that blows up on Roald Dahl Plus, and Gwen, who's one of our main characters of Torchwood, obviously has just had a bomb blow up next to her, so her ears are all, like, ringing, and we cut between... If we see like an establisher shot of the bay, we see Gwen, there's music, we hear it from our perspective, but if we see from Gwen's eyes, we hear like a high-pitched ringing and like blurred vision, and we had that very much with Kate, when she was calling up, she was like, immediate assistant, red alert, there's been a man down, we see like blurry vision, we hear like faint, like a faint voice that's being, I think it's a representation of Kate's thoughts overrunning her voice, where her voice is quiet and there's sort of like a silence that's louder than her voice. Very cool stuff. From a cinematography perspective, I really liked that a lot, even though this very much does feel like it's a Yanto situation all over again. I will say I called the deepfake Salt straight away. I don't know if that was meant to be a big reveal for us. I think we as the audience were meant to know, but the characters obviously didn't. But the deepfake Salt was very obvious if that was meant to be a case of we don't know, we figure out with the people on there. No, we knew. We knew it was a deepfake Soul. But it was a cool idea from the corporation, I think they're called. Again, I should have researched what they were called, I forgot. But that group of people who are against Aquakind and don't want to work with them and want to kill them. The guy Ted worked, the group that Ted worked for, created a deepfake of Salt being like, we've blown up and killed your humans and we're coming for you next, and stuff like that was very cool. Russell Tovey's performance when he realises everybody's dead and he's on the phone call with Shirley and Kate, he really, really sells his role here. His eyes are like bloodshot, the tears are streaming down his face, is like it's all crumbling apart because he realises that people are dead. They killed off Austin Pierce. What? He's been around since 2009 and they killed him off in a stupid Sea Devil spin-off. But no, it was sad when he realised everyone died, and it was sad that he realised, most of all when Salt, we see Salt locked up in a box, we feel his emotions because we know she's innocent, but obviously they don't think she is. They think that she did the explosion. I do think it takes a while for them to confirm deepfake, even though Barkley's there saying Salt saved my life and it was Ted who blew them up. They still spend the rest of the episode trying to figure out, if it was a deepfake or not, when if Barclay was there and he's telling you this, surely it's real, you'd believe him, wouldn't you? But then we get a scene which is quite cool where they take Salt they're aiming to take Salt to Unit Tower. They for some reason stop on some like bed of, I think it's Cardiff, but they say it's London. And I thought it was cool how, you know, the Barclay's old mate from his old job is there, and like, well, you know, they're gonna take her, she's gonna be sushi later, and then that gives him the idea to free Salt back into the ocean. I do have a nitpick about this. I like the fact that he reversed the truck into the ocean and the box fell off and then she came out. How did the door open? I might have missed something, but to me, you know, that door is deadlocked shut. Just because it hits the water doesn't mean that the door opens. Unless there was a throwaway line that I missed, let me know in the comments. I'm confused on how Salt escaped. You know, maybe I missed something. I'm willing to admit I missed something if I did. If I didn't, that doesn't make any sense how that door opened at all. And at this point, I was still rooting for their relationship a bit. I was thinking, you know what, there's time to develop this. Maybe there's a backstory on why she likes him and why he likes her. So I was rooting for them at this point. I got a bit let down later on, though. Now, something I mentioned last episode, which I think, or not last episode, in episode 1 or 2, they should have touched on Kate's kids earlier. They do mention Kate's daughter, who's on holiday in Spain or Australia. I really don't remember, I apologise. They do touch on Kate's daughter, which was very cool. You've got to make us care about these characters more, and family is a great way to do that. So good. Check from me. We also get a mention from Morris, who, if you don't remember, Morris was in the season 1 2-part finale with Ncuti Gatwa, which was Empire of Death, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. He was the guy on the Swegway who I think was standing in for Shirley while she was getting married or something. I'm not too sure. And it was cool how Shirley admits to Kate that everybody knew about her and Ibrahim. You know, she thought it was a secret, and it was a secret, but everybody knew. Something could be a secret and not be told, but people can still know it. And I think that was a good way of showing that. And it showed that everyone was happy for her. Because people are saying Ibrahim had no character. I didn't care about Colonel Ibrahim, but the point of Colonel Ibrahim, the character he was Kate's happy person. And that to me is enough. I think a lot of people felt like they wanted more from him. But sometimes a character doesn't need to be their own thing. Sometimes a character can just be an emotion for another already established character. We saw that Colonel Ibrahim made Kate happy. That doesn't mean we need to learn loads about him. I think that would become too much of a babbled session. You know, we learnt bits about him, like his dad, how he is a very wise man, and how, you know, he wants to meet Kate. But just because we didn't learn about Colonel Ibrahim doesn't mean he's a nothing character. We know that he means a lot to Kate, and to me, that's enough. That's all that matters. That's enough. I don't care about him and his backstory. All I care about is that he aids Kate in a good way that she needs, and that is good. They then meet Tide, who is like a male version of Salt's kind, and he explains that Salt saved a human from the wreck, and not any other aqua kind. She saved a human. So the Tide, who's the big fish guy, says, "Unit, you will find Salt and Barclay. You will return Salt to me, and we will kill Salt." This is very Boomtown. If you've not seen Boomtown from series 1 of Doctor Who, Margaret the Slovene has broken some rules. I actually forgotten what the rules are, but she's broken some rules from her home planet, Raxacoricophalopatorius. And the Doctor basically says, "Well, I'm taking you back to Raxacoricophalopatorius before you kill any more humans on Earth." And she says, "Well, Doctor, if you take me there, you're taking me to my death." And he says, "Well, it's not my problem. You broke the rules." And she's like, "But you could not take me, and I'd survive. So you're taking me to my death." And this is very similar, because Kate goes, "Well, if we know that you're going to kill Salt, we cannot give her to you." And Tide's like, "Okay, well then we're going to turn all of the rust in the world into dust." And that is a really cool idea. One thing I'm annoyed about, I know it's science fiction, I know it's not meant to make logical sense, but how are they doing this? There's a lot of telling and not showing in this series. How are they possibly able to turn rust into dust, and why have they not done it sooner? We've been polluting the world for ages. There should have been reasons for this. How can they make it rain plastic from the sky? How? I want to know how. I want to see how. Even if it's just a sea devil tapping away on a fish screen, I want to see how they are doing it. Because they aren't magic. And if they are, show us. I don't care if they're magic or not. They can be magic. Show us. I don't want to just make my own mind up about how these sea devils are doing this. I want to see it happen. I don't want to be told. I don't just want to be told they're magic. Show me that they're magic. Show me how they do it, and then I'll be on board. Salt and Barkley doing it was very uncomfortable to watch, especially with my parents. Again, I don't know why I find this so uncomfortable when I've watched TV shows like Torchwood, which literally has a sex alien in its second episode. This felt worse. This felt like it was trying to be serious. Torchwood was almost a joke. You know what I mean? Torchwood had humour. This is trying to be serious, and that's why I find it cringier. For example, I make a lot of 69 jokes and 6'7" jokes. I don't actually find that funny. I'm using the irony of the people who find it funny, projecting it onto myself, and that's the joke. The joke is that I'm laughing at the demographic of people who find that funny. This is very similar in the sense that there's comedy there, but it's trying to take itself too seriously. That something like Torchwood, when there's a sex monster, it's blatantly comedic, and it's there, and it's ironic. This is trying to be serious, and that's why I'm not vibing with it as much as I thought it would be. As much as I thought I would. And I think the best way to develop this relationship is make it a love story, not a lust story, because all we've had so far is, sexy fish lady, let me touch your face. Run away with me, sexy fish lady undercovers. Like, that's not, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch two characters fall in love, and reasons for them to be in love, and reasons why their differences don't matter, because they can still be in love, like Romeo and Juliet. That would work really well. We're just getting a lust story of a man who fancies a fish. It's silly. To me, this is silly. I want to have a deeper connection to these characters, and I want there to be reasons why they love each other that isn't just they want to get some. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a big waste of what could be a great story, and that's what in my head this was going to be. It was going to be more of a love story, Romeo and Juliet type thing, rather than just like, I'm going to bonk a fish woman. Weird. It's weird. The bit where Barkley and Salt are on the run, they rob that man, that was quite cool. Again, just very Tortured Children of Earth when they nick laptops and stuff, but fine, like, whatever. It was very obvious they're taking from this. It's not as good as Children of Earth, they don't do it as well. And the bit where Barkley calls Kirby, who's his child, and his ex-wife, not his child and his ex-wife, he calls his child slash his ex, no, hang on, he calls his child, full stop. He then calls his ex-wife, okay, they're not the same person, that'd be weird. But he, that was, again, very Children of Earth, when Yanto rings up, or he sends a letter to his sister saying, you know, meet me at where Dad broke my leg, I need to borrow the car keys, and something like that. Very similar. Obviously this was a trap, and that leads us to the bridge, which was the cliffhanger, which I had a better idea for. Like I say, if you go back and watch my trailer breakdown for when the first trailer for The War Between came out, I saw this scene and I thought, I've cracked it. I know what they're going to do with this scene, and I had an idea in my head of how they were going to do it in a good way. And when I planned it out in my head, please go back and watch it. It's brilliant. I had such a good idea of how it was going to work. They were all going to throw away their guns, and they were going to become one with the fish, and we were going to all live together. But this didn't happen, and instead it was like it was supposed to be tense. I'm going to lie, I didn't feel as tense on this one. They were all going to shoot. So the unit soldiers were going to shoot at the corporation soldiers, and the corporation soldiers were going to shoot at Salt. Somehow this all stops, and Salt manages to get away. I think the cliffhanger should have been before this, maybe like a gunshot. That's the cliffhanger. But Salt jumps in the water and swims away. And then we get the worst piece of dialogue I think I've ever heard in any TV show ever. Barkley runs up to the end of the bridge and looks at Salt and goes, "I'll find you, Salt. You'll never swim alone. You'll never swim alone." That's disgusting. It's a horrible, horrible piece of dialogue that is so cringe. It's not even corny, cheesy for the sake of it and to be played off as comedy. It's disgusting. When I heard that line, I wanted to be sick. "You'll never swim alone" is a sentence that, right, it could have worked if it was used as a joke in an earlier scene. In this context, "You'll never swim alone," whilst he's having guns pointed at him and he's trying to confess his love to the fish. Disgusting. Horrible, horrible piece of dialogue. Anyway, that's my review for this episode. Like I say, it could all wrap up well in the finale. My favourite episode is still episode 1. Russell T Davies did a great job with it, and I hope he doesn't fall flat in the finale. Russell has written the finale, which is getting people scared. You got to remember, this was Russell's passion project before he wanted to come back to Doctor Who, so I think the finale will stick the landing. It's an extended episode. It's 53 minutes instead of the usual 45, so we're getting an extra, just under 10 minutes to focus on this ending, so I'm hoping it'll be good. In saying that, my ranking for the episode 4 of The War Between the Land and the Sea is probably... It's still okay. It's probably a 3.7, 3.8 is my ranking out of 5 for this. Again, it's not bad. It's not a bad ranking. There's just weird things that are happening that don't need to be there, and I'd prefer if they weren't there. Let me know in the comments, what's your ranking of these episodes, or this episode, and what is something that I've missed or something that I spoke about that you have an opinion on. Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe and like if you haven't already, and if you want your name at the end of the next video, you can leave a super thanks in the comments below, but as always, you do not have to. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again very, very soon, and goodbye.